Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Aspiring Polymath. It's been a little while, but life happens sometimes. I've decided to call this episode Bonus Episode 1 for no particular reason. I did my first crossover at another podcast, which is called Four Guys Go Off the Rails. A very nice group of guys. I think there's actually five or six of them, and their manager is a girl, actually. So I guess it's five or six guys and a girl go off the rails. Our topic was Black History Month, and kind of spilled over into the usual topics that come around that time of the year, which we should really discuss most of the year. Racism. Eventually, that spills into slavery and all the usual topics. Harriet Tubman and the like. We did go off the rails many times right off the beginning, but it's a very fun episode. It's a little bit different from what you usually get on my podcast, but very educational as well. And I thought we could use some humor as well, which is one thing I really liked about their podcast. It's very humorous, and I think it adds a little bit of something. It's nice to have fun while you're learning as well. So definitely tune in and see how that went. Also, we had a feature from Bantu Investments, which is supports both my podcast and theirs. So that's a nice link. I actually didn't know that Jefferson was going to be there, but it was a happy coincidence. So yeah, definitely check out Four Guys Go Off the Rails. Check out the other stuff, not just the episode I featured on, and also tune into Bantu Investments. Our special codes will be in the description. Let me know what you think.
It's good, huh?
Yeah.
Good trip. You should try screwball.
The way you're out here always suggesting alcohol. Please, we're recording. No free clout.
Rachel not particular.
Anybody that wants us to recommend the
Come on,
alcohol
take
should
this
pay us
one.
money for
Come
it.
on, take this one.
Rachel, don't worry. The emails will be coming to you. You have to set up the. You're the manager now. You have to set up the when they.
Rachel doesn't know. I think
for
Rachel doesn't
sponsorship.
realize that if we actually blow, she's going to be the busiest person here.
Like, you have to set up the
Honestly.
sponsorship.
You don't know. It's
So
fine.
Jeffrey, your photo shoot is ready. You just have to
Yeah.
pull up and look good.
Yeah,
Shola,
scheduling.
I don't know about Shola, but Shola. The modeling contract is ready. Oval, Jordan is looking for you. He said he's been trying to call you. Pick up your phone.
I like the energy.
You have to call my people. My people being Rachel.
Yeah.
Yes, well, Jordan has called you. You didn't pick, so Jordan
Yeah,
has
you
called
have to call
Rachel.
my people.
Yeah.
All right.
If we blow enough, Rachel will have people too. So then you call my people's people. But yeah, are you guys ready?
Yeah. All good.
All right. We've been recording for like 2 minutes anyway, but it's part of the energy.
That's how we actually. Yeah. It's called ghost recording. Just click recording.
I find that like when you say, "Oh yeah, we're about to start," it becomes very scripted. So
Yeah, you get more of that.
I just enter and I press record. Anything that happens. Whatever people say, the street will hear it. So yeah, all right, it's another episode. What's good, people? Okay, let's do quick intros.
Is it, Jeff? Is it?
It is.
That's what I'm saying.
It is.
Wake up.
Anyway, let's do quick intros. Then we'll kind of just go through the thing. My senior man, do give it away.
Wagwan people, the name is Jeffrey, aka I'm tired today.
My name's Ovio, no relation, 2 chains.
You guys say something. So is everybody adding something to that?
No.
Okay.
We just survived the winter storm.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
please.
This is. I like.
Oh, yeah,
I
sure.
forgot my name. This is Ayo, aka Edward Snowden.
Shola is actually Snowpiercer because you braved this for rubbish.
No, come, what's wrong with you now?
That's why it's story to tell.
No, there's no story to tell. Please, God. I'm tired of story. This is Shola the African Giant, your boy Stag. and you can call me Jack Frost. I've been walking up and down in the snow.
And we're what's this
Is
about?
it collab
Crossover. Is it crossover?
Or collab.
CW. Watch.
No, please. This is like Family Guy
Not
and Simpson
CW,
crossover.
CW.
That's better.
CW is
So
trash.
trash.
No,
They're not
the
making.
crossovers are nice, but the
You
series
know,
are
did you
trash.
see they're actually bringing out
Oh
a
my
Superman and Lois?
god.
I didn't even bother. That's what I said. The series itself is trash.
How many spin-offs? How many bad shows till they stop? Flash is still on.
They're like
money.
people are like, oh, this is
Mhm.
terrible. Let's stop. CW is like, haha, you haven't seen anything yet.
You know, season
Hold
1
on
of
here.
Flash was okay.
Yeah.
Was it?
The one that
It
pissed
was.
me off
It wasn't
Green
terrible.
Arrow. Like I watched
It
Green
wasn't
Arrow
bad
with
at all.
one of my guys one day. I just wanted to see what it was about. He was watching one
Oh,
of
Green
random
Arrow.
episodes.
Okay, finish.
And I
it.
tuned in. And this
That's
was like,
it.
he was locked in his he was in a hotel room or something. This guy made a bow and a quiver of arrows from the stuff in his hotel room. And I was just
You were pissed.
I was,
You're like-
I was trying to understand like how
So it's me that doesn't have survival instinct. I'm the one.
No, but wait. Why Arrow is the best is the hand, the fightings are fire.
They have.
That's a hand
I think they
combat
did
Now,
a
apart from
decent
that,
job of all their shows. They
trash.
did a decent job choreographing
Arrow.
the fight scenes.
Yeah.
But the storyline of that Arrow,
Nah.
am I a fool? Am I a fool?
All of them.
What?
Once they reach
What?
like season 3, they just be sitting down and be like,
Okay. What can we do now?
Okay, what can we do?
This
Yeah.
guy-
How
That's-
about
That's
About-
that's
about-
Supergirl. That's
Bro,
Supergirl.
that one went
That,
bad
there's no
very
difference
quickly.
between Supergirl
Very
and
quickly.
Stargirl.
Grey's Anatomy.
Ah,
That thing is just drama.
It's like, okay. How about in the multiverse? Okay. His mom C comes from the past and she can run fast, but
Bro, how about
and she's faster than Flash.
That's why I
Who's the
was
fastest man
for
in the world?
Flash. It's-
Bro.
and then
Yeah.
that's a good point. Every time he says, "My name is Barry Allen, and I'm the fastest man alive,"
always somebody-
and then the
in the
first
episode,
scene, he's not.
there's somebody faster than
Everybody that can run fast.
No.
It's like,
run
bro.
faster than the Flash.
No. You know what he has? He has that
Why I hate
American.
the
He has
Flash
that American
Like,
behavior.
World
That
Series.
World Series,
Yeah.
World
World
champion. Bro, you play this thing only in America. You can't be world champion only in America.
It's like, how come every time you race your age mate, they're beating you?
These are your
Every time.
These are your peers.
Come on, bro.
Then when he has to
Never-
do something significant like run, Barry.
Run.
Run. I'm what the fuck?
And then the guy will enter a situation where nobody's fast. When he
And then they'll still punch him.
right? Back rubber. You can run faster than bullets. But let they are gone, take them to prison. They will not even know what happened. And then you enter there, you sleep on ice.
I hope you guys know that we already messed up our CW bag.
We'll cut it out.
See, I'm
We'll
not
cut
cutting
it
shit
We'll
out.
cut it
See, let me tell you something. The CWN, this is promo for you. Free promo. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah,
CW.
yeah, people have to go watch the show.
Yes, sponsor.
Legacies or anything we can enter. It's okay, we'll do cameo.
In fact,
I can
Right.
play Johnny Green Giant.
Seems like they have a thing for bad acting, so I'm your guy.
I got you.
I beg back to where we
We're in the middle of introduction, so please, I guess, check this.
Anyway, hey guys, I'm Kennedy. I'm the host of the Aspiring Polymath. I'm I guess you could say the other end of this duet or crossover, whatever you want to call it. I've listened to a couple of you guys' episodes. It seems like it's pretty fun, so I figured, okay, this is something I want to be part of.
I feel unfortunate that you came the day I'm not drinking. I'm sorry.
I know, I can tell that you're more of a,
Sad.
more hyped personality, but I mean, the drink is right there.
Yeah, bro.
No, I mean, all I'm hearing is that like you heard the podcast and you were like, "This guy is."
They're
Yeah, they're
that's
cool.
something.
I don't know what that is about you. To be fair.
I have a question. What's a polymath?
A polymath is basically an individual that's let me put it in a layman's terms. Basically, an individual that's into a lot of things. You have your hands everywhere, and not only are you into a lot of things, you're like
You're greedy.
reasonably excel at a lot of things.
Huh.
Famous polymaths are like Newton, Young.
Jeffrey.
I mean, these are like those are like the higher ends, but you have average.
This is why we make him drink.
Okay, so not
So it doesn't
not
be
Jack,
like this.
Not Jack.
This is
So like Jack of all
because
trades.
you know they say Jack of all trades, master of none. So not that guy.
Yeah,
Right?
so what's the difference between
Man, I should have googled this shit because I thought it was like a
the
trick.
polymath and like a
I was
dilettante?
What's that?
It's like
Dilettante, someone
Pythagoras.
that knows many things. There's no master of any of them.
So that's the difference, isn't it?
That's an MBA. For
You could argue that.
Oh my god,
Like I
I
was
will
saying-
kick you out.
And I say people like
Our director is complaining.
on the higher end of that, like the most exceptional ones, or Da Vinci is another famous one, but that's like upper echelon.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be on that level to be considered a polymath. Basically. So someone like that would be a jack of all trades to an extent is a polymath.
So do you think? So since it's like aspiring, do you say it's like a skill set that you can build as opposed to like something that you're born with?
Yes, that's the idea.
Alright.
The idea is like everybody should aspire to be a polymath. Maybe you won't get there, but the idea. My idea for the show was like, okay, on this,
So, like,
you have
even if
different
you fail,
episodes
you
where we're learning different things, and that's how you're
Even though I
inspired
don't
to get there. I don't think nobody's really born a polymath. I don't think. I mean, some people are born with more intellect, I would say, which gives them a leg up on learning new skills. But anybody can learn new skills. You can learn to be a cook, be an amateur soccer player, and also be a podcast host. Those are all different fields, but you can do that. You can learn to do all of those things. You don't have to be born with.
I mean, to be fair, some people are born with the ability to pick up things really quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
So
for
it's
sure.
easier for them, and then other people will try and fail, but keep trying.
For sure.
That's what I was saying.
But there's always something that you can do also. Like Newton is a physicist, mathematician. He was even into theology and everything, but I don't think he was a very good soccer player.
So basically, if you want to learn new skills, go on.
Never got no pussy.
Sponsor. This could be you.
Yes.
Oh.
That's an example of one skill you can learn. You can plug him in there, right?
Yeah. So we have one more person that missed. Please do us the favor of giving us
Our
an
resident.
introduction.
Please don't put all your resume.
Our resident
Giveaway.
boss man, do give away.
Giveaway.
You're putting me on the spot.
Always.
Well, my name is Jefferson. I know there's a Jeffrey.
Hey, gang. Gang,
Jeff, and Jeffy, I guess. But
Let's take note that there are 2 dead presidents in our midst.
That's actually how I remember their name.
Great.
yeah.
Whenever she mentioned,
It's
it's both of you.
Yeah.
Whenever she mentioned, I'm like, okay, you don't have to get president.
Kennedy. But yeah, so I am.
Then this is what Black History Month is about.
Well, plug-in black business, I guess.
Yeah.
I am a software developer and an investor.
Self-trained.
I'm a self-taught software developer and programmer.
Let's go.
Self-taught investor and stock trader, options trader.
What are we talking about now? Polymath here.
That's it right there.
Alright.
He's actually been on 2 of my episodes.
I have been
Let's
aspire
To inspire.
Yeah, exactly. Carry on.
So I'm actually here because we want to talk about doing some promotion of this stuff. I am the founder of Bantu Investments. For anybody that's been listening to your show for a while, they know that you guys are Nigerians. But I'm from Congo, and Bantu comes from where I come from. The Bantu means the people, and so I created Bantu Investments as the people's investments, where I teach people how to trade, invest, and basically I cover real estate, cryptos, stock markets, and business consulting because I also do that. So, if you're interested in learning any of those things, visit bantuinvestments.com.
Hey, that's the word from our sponsors, guys.
We have paid the bills for today.
If you like, don't listen. Please, we are joking. Listen.
If you like, don't go please, dear. If you like, when we put a subscription link in the description, don't go click it.
Please,
Yeah.
I'll fight you.
Just let them know that you guys are receiving a code that they will get a discount, and so they can't just go in there and sign up because they won't save any
you
money.
better use the code.
Because what will you gain for not using the code?
By the way, I'm actually a member on Bantu already, and
There you go.
there's definitely a lot of good shit to learn there. It's a great community, sharing trades, trying to get people to increase their financial
Portfolio.
awareness, that kind of thing.
That's dope.
So it's for everybody, really. Like even if you don't want to get into stock trading, you can still learn a lot about finances. You
Yeah.
can learn about real estate.
Like, who doesn't want to make money?
Guys,
Don't you want to make money? Do you want to make money?
this is legit. It's not what Shola offered you that time.
It's not MMM.
It's called financial freedom,
Man,
guys.
I just realized that Shola pre-fumbled our bag for us. Shola no. Shola, don't. You pre-fumbled our bag.
Let's listen.
Go ahead.
Okay.
He pre-fumbled. I don't want him to
Okay.
think this is the same thing, please.
Okay, listen, okay. Are you tired of working a 9-to-5 job? Are you tired of working a 9-to-5? You too can be rich. You don't say Lamborghini, but I have Lamborghini keys. Somebody have actually. Those are the keys to Lamborghini, okay? And I went to my boss and I told him, "Fuck you, bro. I can show you the secrets too. Just join my course for $2,500. Simple $2,500. But because of you, our listeners, because I love you, I'm going to drop the price to $750 just for you because I love you. Out of love, give me $750. I will personally mentor and coach you to become rich and to buy a Lamborghini or something."
It's funny how Shala always sounds so white, but when he talks about him, I'm like, $750.
the money brings out.
I didn't tell you.
To future other sponsors, look at what your mates are doing. Do quick, don't let them beat you to this thing. Give us your money.
Strike the iron while it's hot, as they say.
Nike, come on.
Okay.
Adidas, here to
Ralph Lauren.
There's no video. Sorry.
No, I'm just putting it out there.
Adidas, we're here to create too.
Oh, like that. I was supposed to get Adidas sponsorship today. I came prepared.
Oh yeah, you got the Yeezys.
That's true. That's what
you guys know the videos.
It's sad.
Yeah.
But don't worry, our executive producer and director is back there creating B-roll for us. We'll put it together and do snippets.
Not when your leg looks like this under that table.
It's Jesus.
Why is he talking to sleep?
As I'm confused. How's my leg look like that? Look at one leg here.
Carry on.
Okay, so we have much to discuss today.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we can start with it's been 2 weeks to be fair. We didn't record last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, carry on. Never mind. I didn't want to say it. Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't record last week because we're in Texas. We're Texas residents, Dallas residents to be precise, and there was a snowstorm. It wasn't really a snowstorm, to be honest. It just snowed.
Was it honest?
It just snowed.
Right.
That's all it was because the weather was still relatively warm compared to certain places.
I don't know about it.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Like compared to certain places, it was still relatively
honestly,
warm.
It got to like 90 degrees at some point.
It was actually really cold.
It got to what?
cold.
It hit negative.
Negative, yeah.
The lowest it got to was 0 degrees.
No,
And-
it
You
went
went negative.
It went negative.
How-
And when it was negative, it was like 40 something in
I don't
Maryland.
remember when negative was. There was a joke that somebody said like Dallas is as cold as Alaska right now. So somebody,
Yeah.
Do you understand that? I was looking
Dallaska.
because I knew because I was having a conversation with someone in another state, right? In a colder state. And complaining about the snowstorm. She was like, "What's the temperature?" And I checked. And when it was cold out there and she was
I
fine.
get what you're saying. Like
Well,
I
that's
wouldn't even
normal
call
life
it.
for
I wouldn't even call
That's
it.
what I'm saying.
A storm.
It's
to
not
be
normal
honest.
life for us.
Like the snow was not that bad. It just wasn't handled.
It was exactly. It wasn't the cold that was the problem. It wasn't that we were shivering and we couldn't. Like it was the fact that like Texas government did not give us electricity.
Our government went to
They didn't clear
Cancun.
the roads or any of that.
And Ted Cruz went to Cancun.
What a bastard.
Who call you out?
Blame it on the woman in his
This
side.
man had his nerve
on
to
his
say
kids.
he
His
was
kids.
just dropping them off.
He was dropping them off. They can't fly by themselves. I don't even have the energy.
What is dickhead?
Let me face the voters.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All
what
people
was
are paying attention.
So let's break it down for the people that don't know. So there was what, 6 inches?
It was supposed to be.
Why is that funny?
Every time
See
we say that, it cracks me
See
up.
your problem.
But it was supposed to be 6 inches of snow coming in on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Or
On
Wednesday.
Mon-
I think it was Wednesday. They were predicting 6 inches of snow was going to come in, but it didn't happen. As far as I can tell, it didn't actually happen.
So it snowed Sunday, Monday, kind of. Then I think Tuesday.
It is.
But essentially, what the real issue is that air cuts, right? So first of all, the Texas government is pretty much, what's the word, independentarian? I don't know.
Yeah.
They want to be in, like, there was a whole thing about Texas seceding in the past, right? So they don't like federal oversight. So the power grid in Texas is the only state that doesn't have
I was
ties.
actually amazed by that.
Yeah, but the only state that doesn't have ties to
The United States Power
to
Grid.
United Power Grid.
And the way the power, I used to work for a power company, and the way they make money is that every single power provider can raise the rates for everybody in Texas, basically. So let's say they need to do something that to cost them a lot of money, they raise the rate by a little bit for everybody in Texas, even if they're not their customers, because Texas government did something. So power companies make free money, but it's a capitalist and they need to get approved. I think during this thing, they couldn't get it approved. So they were like, oh, fuck you guys. So we're not going to produce, even though we have the capacity to produce power.
Well,
And
they,
like,
so what I read is that Texas has known for about 30 odd years that they need to winterize their stuff.
Mhm.
But obviously, when you do like an analysis of like cost benefit analysis, they're like, oh, it's not going to get that cold. So there's no benefit in not spending this money
Infrastructure.
on the infrastructure to handle the cold. But well, Texas, first of all, the government is climate change deniers all around. So they deny climate change as if it existed, right?
Mhm.
And then you now have like people who just are greedy.
Yeah.
So they didn't do it. They didn't do what needed to be done. And so Texas, well, they knew this storm was coming, but it was too late then.
Yeah.
So they kind of like said, fuck everybody. And so, like, the coal plants, the natural gas plants, they pretty much froze over. So there was no capacity to actually produce.
Mhm.
And then the fucking governor who needs to be pushed down a flight of stairs.
Wow.
No problem. That guy.
That's you know his name.
He went on Fox the first night that people were shivering and dying. He went on Fox to try and blame the Green New Deal. That it's because we're using wind turbines that we don't have power. But wind turbines produce what 12%.
I think they said it was like 15%.
Yeah,
15%.
and they outperformed like what they were even thinking.
And during the winter
It's funny
time,
because you said push down the flight of stairs, and this is exactly what I saw.
and during the winter time,
Yeah.
Texas doesn't take into account green energy, solar or wind doesn't get
They don't
taken into
even-
account.
Exactly.
They're already separated.
So while his constituents are dying, he's pushing his agenda on Fox. Isn't that a bastard?
That didn't even surprise me.
Yeah.
The first thing is that my whole issue with the way politics is running in America is that, like, regardless of what the situation is, each party will always push their agenda.
Bro.
So it's on both ends.
Agenda
both,
must adjust.
both on the Democratic side and on the Republican side, right? Everybody will always still push their agenda with every situation that they have.
Yep.
My problem is Republicans have become so ridiculous about it, and I think it's in the Trump era, it kind of exposed the core supporter, the core voter in the party. And I was like, they'll say like the most
Outrageous.
you know, like before, politicians used to try to pretend like they were all liars, but like they would lie and you'd be like,
It's coded.
you know, maybe he has a point. And now they're just like blatantly just saying the most stupid things.
Come on, beat me.
Because it's not even come and beat me. It's that like they realize that too many of you are too stupid
Exactly.
to know any better.
I think it's Trump that exposed that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
can literally say anything and people will go
We'll
along.
be like, yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
And you're like, nigga, do you know that we can see you?
And
I
it
see
kills me
you,
because
see me, see
like,
me.
fam, like we're here, we can see it.
it kills me because I don't even think about the people who are actually too dumb to know better. Like those people who are actually too stupid to know better. I think about the educated population of that group. Who is smart enough to be like, this guy is not making sense. But this is where I stand. Like, how do you stand behind, like, these guys are talking the most dumbest things and you're like, I guess. That's what is killing me.
I think on the Republican side, it's like they kind of align with that side because of their shared ethos. Like, okay, we hate big government. The usual Republican thing is. So sometimes even some core Republicans know that these people are talking rubbish, but to them it's like it's better I support these people than go with the other side. To them, I think that's what it is. Like most of them, I think knew that Trump was capping on.
They rationalized it.
Yeah, exactly. That they take it as like I'm willing to suffer this bullshit as long as they go with the core things that we're still.
What's crazy is like in the primaries, for instance, before in Trump's campaign and the first campaign, a lot of people who campaigned against him or who ran against him in primaries said a lot of these things. Like they disagreed with him. They
Mr.
said he was
Cruz,
this person or that
you're on
person.
this table.
Yeah, he's on this. This
coming
guy's on every 3-leg table. This is Ted Cruz guy. So like they said a bunch of all these things, right? And then when he eventually emerged as the primary, like the party candidate,
They flipped the
they
switch.
flipped the switch, right? And people were like, and then the other side was saying these things about him, and then they were disputing what the other side was saying and supporting him. And it was like, no, but my nigga, but you're on tape.
you were
Like
just
there's video
saying-
evidence of you saying this exact same thing.
Every time this comes up, I like to bring the fact that Trump insulted Cruz's wife. How can you be such a bitch of a man that somebody insulted your wife on national TV
Well, getting divorced
and
too.
you start capping? I would have
We're
said
getting
meet me in the
divorced.
parking lot, fam. Like,
On
let's go
site.
hands. Like, go.
Like you insult my wife, my baby
And
girl,
you started supporting him, like,
my baby girl.
You don't even have
This
to-
is not politics anymore.
Just like-
I'm fighting
just
you.
distance yourself.
Yeah, it
like,
doesn't require
but the
leadership.
fact that Ted Cruz now became one of his most vocal supporters after that just means that he's a bitch.
Yeah, that's what Steph I was Steph. That cool movie I put in my wife's on there.
Oh, yeah.
So even after you abuse your wife, like, say no, like no.
Like, even the wife should have left him because he's a little bitch.
The thing is, the truth is, the way politics is run everywhere really is very, very ridiculous. Because it would have gone to him and would have told him, "My guy, fall in line," and he wouldn't have had a choice. He would have been like, "Yeah." Otherwise, he would lose
They would have
future
excommunicated
party.
him and stuff like that.
No, because even Democrats did the same thing. Like everybody was Hillary and Bernie were at each other's throats, and then all of a sudden, once she got the nomination, it was like okay, like
Yeah.
in the previous election, like oh okay, actually
I think
forget about like
there
that.
it was more like Bernie kind of got bullied.
Oh, yeah, they always
Kind
do.
of got bullied, basically.
Because his agenda is too socialist for them.
I feel like there's that, and also I think Hillary had already been kind of promised
Yeah.
something. So
She-
maybe nothing on paper, but
Yeah.
there had been an arrangement. Okay, during Obama's election period, like okay, you're next.
Yeah, that's how it
basically.
always is.
I feel like there was an element of that.
Yeah, Democrats.
So, how did you guys go from Dallaska to American Pop?
I don't know, man.
Because Dallaska was called the American
I'm
Pop.
trying to understand why your episodes are named the one about.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that's just how it is. Yeah, we just followed this.
My first, I think apart from the intro episode, my first, or I guess technically second episode, kind of was like this. It was supposed to be about music, whiskey, Davido's, and we ended up talking about something completely different. I had to make a whole other episode.
Yeah, we've done that. We've had to. There's times we've had to just like, okay, this is a different episode.
There's times that, so like on last season, we used to do rants. There were times when we started a rant and the episode became the rant. And we're like, I guess we'll have to talk about the actual episode next week.
Oh, wait.
Let's do it.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm waiting for rants.
Oh, yeah, we welcome.
I have a rant too. For carry on.
Okay, so my rant is nobody really is getting dragged in this rant. I think that
We don't want it again.
You don't want.
I have tomatoes.
Listen, I'm tired of making enemies. So I'm ready to make one more enemy.
Okay.
And who here has a pet? You have a dog. Who do you take your dog to when it's sick?
Veterinarian.
Is your vet a dog specialist?
Interesting, man.
Veterinarians are the most arrogant members of the medical community. And I will break it down.
Okay, how did this even happen?
You take your dog to the vet. That same vet, that day will see a cat, he will see a snake, he will see a hamster. If you injure your elbow and iron stomach is paining him, both of you will not go to the same doctor. Because doctors are not arrogant. But that same guy will tell you your dog has stomach ache and your cat has depression. How do you have that kind of range?
How did Shola get here?
How do you have that kind of range?
This is what happens when they take electricity in Dallas.
For too long.
I drove by a vet and I became annoyed.
Just like
There's
that.
a place right here, it's called Vet Emergency Group. I said, so any kind of pet emergency, I can just bring them. You don't even say dog emergency, cat emergency. In the human body, that we know the most about the human body. We will not let the same guy treat our eyes and our teeth on our head.
But
The same
Shola,
guy-
can I just argue that other medicine is just a scam? That one guy can just do it.
No, it's not a scam,
Not
right?
really a scam.
Because
I know.
the doctors will still spend years, but this guy will be like, oh, your dog. I mean, I've heard people say my cat has diabetes and my dog has depression. And the same guy can treat diabetes and depression. Nobody has that kind of range. No polymath of veterinary medicine. It doesn't exist. And it's annoying.
Did somebody kill your pet?
No, I just saw and I became annoyed. So you're telling me, and listen, these vets, okay, they are the masters of the biology of all creatures big and small. Okay? From a rat to a camel. If you can master every creature, why don't you master the one that pays the most, human beings? Oh. So you could get to veterinary school, you couldn't get to med school. Something going on.
They can treat fish.
You have to go to med school to be a
You know, wait,
You have to go to med school to be a vet.
My dad is a vet.
I don't think you know. I'm not
Shola said, I said what I said.
come on, beat me.
I'm convinced when you bring your dog to the vet, The guy is just winging it. He has a dice and a Monopoly board of disease. He just rolls it.
Depression or diabetes.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
like,
the animal can talk, so.
Oh my god.
an animal cannot
Talk.
talk. That's why they get away with it. That's how they get away with it. I'm upset. Listen, when human beings, if you are pregnant, one doctor takes care of the pregnancy. When you come out, he's a pediatrician. Yep. We don't even let the same guy handle the barrier passage. And this guy can treat a cat, a snake, a dog, and a camel. I'm annoyed.
You know what the sad reality
We need to
is?
stop this.
I think it's just animal lives are not valued as much as human lives.
That's not true.
Animal life.
That's not true.
Well,
That's not true.
not to white.
Not by most
I've
people.
seen a situation
in the
whereby.
grand scheme of things, but not by white
But
people.
in general, now.
Yeah,
like, never mind.
Yeah.
I keep my
There
example.
was a car coming.
Yeah.
You and your dog were tied up.
Mhm.
Yeah. Would you stay there or lock your dog so you can run and you stay the car hit you?
I don't
Hell no.
have a dog.
Because we're black.
Yeah.
If we're white, maybe.
That was the most
okay, you can run
random
away.
What?
I just
You know what? I'm going to save.
That was the most random.
I'm going to save my rant.
I like
So
Wait till
my
my rant-
argument
I think
is,
it
Shola,
will be like that. sometimes.
Shola, when you were driving, you're just like, Kumbaya is a good
I think it
day.
will be like
And you saw there, like, oh, what the fuck? What the fuck?
And listen, another thing that pissed me off is that, okay, the vet emergency group, okay, if they can treat all animals, they must have a huge facility with a bungalow. A bungalow. For all the
You know
pets.
what's making me laugh, right? I can imagine, I can see the
You
building
can-
you're talking
yeah.
about. I see those buildings a lot, and they almost always look the same. I swear they almost always look the
It's a
same.
scam!
Who
It's a
the
scam.
fuck is this nigga?
Your dad must be stopped, Jefferson.
He doesn't practice anymore. So
Good. Jeez.
Oh, Jesus.
That was just, I was just driving.
This
down.
is what happens
He
when
studied,
you go
he studied
stir
coronaviruses in dogs and chickens. So he specializes in
You're
dogs.
just making it worse, to be honest.
What's the correlation between the dog and the chicken?
That's a wide range.
Oh, that's the
That's why he
correlation.
specializes.
You see,
They're
that's
both
the
what?
correlation.
That's why
They're
he
both
specialized
animals.
in.
They're all animals.
We're all animals.
Yes.
We're all animals.
He can actually treat humans too. He's a doctor.
Oh my god.
So if you get sick, you can go to
No, I'm good. I'll go to the guy that only specializes in whatever I'm sick of. Only that guy.
Oh, Jesus.
So if you walk into a doctor, you're like, oh, doctor, you're about to operate on me. He's okay, I also operated on a cat, on a chicken and a dog earlier. I'm going to do it. And that's the only should move the thing from my body. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're not operating.
Do you know what's crazy? Like, so, I was going to this period where we were recording. I was going to do like a mashup episode where it was just
All the
our
rants? That's actually not
but like, I didn't have electricity to do it.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
No, but yes, I'm still going to do that. I don't know when I'm going to put it out there, but it's going to be an episode of just rants, and we've had some peak rants on this podcast.
Yeah, just
Really ranting.
we don't have
These are therapy sometimes, yeah.
Oh yeah, I
This is
love
no,
social
that's
media.
the truth. They asked me why I started the podcast. I said because I needed.
Oh, there's a tweet that was sitting on that table.
Yes, now that
They're
men
like, why do men just
men
start-
need therapy and go start the podcast.
That's actually why I started.
Yes.
But, you know, I
Yes.
found that sometimes
There's a pattern here,
I literally
guys.
just be ranting at people that didn't
Ask for
did
it.
not sign up for it.
Yeah.
They don't sign up for it.
I'm like, fuck we need. That's what it does.
I saw it. Don't worry.
Like I had that rant and I went to go and talk to two people.
And they're like,
When
what
I
is
started
this?
the rant, I was like, wait, I'll save this for the podcast. I don't have to do this to you.
See, there's so much to get through, and we're really losing time. We're already 30 minutes in.
Bruh,
I'm
at
gonna
this
do
rate, should we just tell our locked in, our those stories and call it an
No, we can
episode?
still
Or should we-
we'll still do our full episode. We'll just
Yeah,
go
we
to
can
the
plug
episode.
in
We'll plug in
like
everything
this.
later. So just random stuff. Millennials and Gen Z people were fighting on Twitter.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah.
That was fun.
What happened
They
again?
attacked FK.
Zico-
Man.
Happy millennium.
Zikoko started
This
it.
guy, that FK one. That one was that picture.
What did you say?
The one that she was on
Posted a
the phone.
picture of Tava on phone, and there was a tree beside her, and they were like, so someone had said,
Oh, she was eating with a tray.
this guy, no, you see this picture. It was
It's
full
funny, it's funny.
anti-vibes, full mommy vibes.
Yo.
It was that like she had said, so they had started the rants. Then she said something. And someone was like, if not for NSAS and I said what I said, that we'll show you. Then she now said, you people should say what you have to say with your chest. And someone had posted that picture and said behind the scenes, and everybody started posting that picture.
Yeah, she came with me. And it was a good
Hold
meme.
on.
This guy was quality.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
No, but yeah, it was a wild time on Twitter. To be fair, it was good because I wasn't really having a good day being snowed in.
Do you want to tell them?
No, my Snow stories. No.
Okay.
No.
It's for off.
No, people are listening.
Okay, it's for off.
People are listening. No. It's not even that it's too fresh. People are definitely listening.
I had a ball. I had a good time.
Okay, should we actually just like talk about what we actually want to talk about today? And
Okay,
then at the end we can come back to
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, so it's Black History Month
Still,
and
shortest month in the year.
and we wanted to, I guess, kind of pay homage to Black History Month and kind of talk about it. I find it difficult to have conversations around stuff like this, because like it's hard to have these conversations and not like bring up like racism and like just the history of Black people in America. And when you know things, I get annoyed. I get heated. That's why I'm just like, there's things I'm like, can we not talk about because like politics, racism in America. These are things that like you get me heated, and I'm starting to realize that I'm a very radical individual. That's why I stay away from Reddit.
The thing is that even if we decide to talk about like the positives, like there's all these people that are doing
The positives always come in spite of.
Yeah, it's like this black person invented this, but we didn't know why. So that's racism again. So like we can't. It's very hard.
It's not just that, right? Why is the African or Black race, as you would say, the only one that have to aspire to be the single most best version of ourselves?
Yeah,
right.
We can't just
like
be people.
They use an example. Oh, LeBron James was able to make it, but why does every Black person have to be as exceptional as LeBron
have to
James to be able to make it?
It was, and I've said, I think I don't know if I've said something. I think I've said it on the podcast, but I've said this a while ago where Chris Rock made this joke about the fact that like he was talking about where he lives. It's like that's the one.
You can get shot
like,
by getting
no,
shot.
he's like, like he's rich and he's made money. That he lives in this really amazing house in Beverly Hills, right? He says Jay-Z is his neighbor, and he names a few other like prominent white people, Black people. And he says, you know who his white neighbor is? A dentist. He's not a special dentist.
Oh yeah, I know that joke. He's just a regular ass.
He's like he lives in a neighborhood where the most exceptional Black people live, and then random white people. And that is what it is about being Black in America. That like you have to aspire to be the best version of yourself just to get what
Basic
regular white people will get by just doing what they do.
So much so that even if you die, now there are literally people actively fishing for your negatives to prove a point. What was that?
The fuck?
People's
It's setting. The foundation.
There's a saying. I can't remember who said this, but the saying like to be a Negro in America. His exact words. I'm not the one he's Negro. To be a Negro in America is to be in a state of constant rage or something. To be a Negro in America that's aware is to be in a state of constant rage.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen? So there's a thing that dropped on Netflix, Amend.
I think is it the one with Will Smith and all those people?
Yeah, the five from it. So I was watching it, and
It's from James Baldwin.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah,
James Baldwin. Yeah.
I was watching it, and I realized that like I'm still annoyed. Like it was just enraging me before. So it was really about the 14th Amendment and how a lot of the things that we've come to achieve are just embedded in the 14th Amendment. But it was just watching this, and it wasn't anything I didn't already know, but I think it was just refreshing the anger for some of these things, and it was like how every step of the way America has done its best to make sure Black people were not treated as human beings.
When you say it's best, really emphasize that because
Like they tried really hard.
some of the things they've done, I'm like, how evil can you be to actually conceptualize this and carry it out?
Like I knew this, but like I never fully conceived of the idea that like they abolished slavery. And then the Supreme Court said, you are free. And I'm talking about the people who gave us this freedom from slavery, right? I'm talking about the Abraham Lincoln, the people who said, yes, you are free. Also said, while you are free, it is ridiculous for you to think that you are equal to the white man.
That fraction is so random.
It's a common misconception.
3/5.
Yeah.
What is 3/5? Like
there's a common misconception that when the North fought the South, that's because the North believed that Black people should be blah 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 blah. We're all equal.
It's for
but
power.
it's not. They were just as racist.
Yeah.
No,
racist.
so it was, and why I like Amend is that it did a good job of differentiating the freedom from slavery and citizenship. So when black people were allowed, when they ended slavery in America and black people were no longer slaves, they still weren't allowed to be citizens. So they couldn't vote. They didn't have legal rights in America.
Not to mention, a lot of them were still, for all intents and purposes, slaves.
Yeah. And then there was an actual story of a man who was a slave in a particular town where it wasn't where it wasn't a free state, and then he went with his owner to a free state, and then his owner passes away. And then he argues that since he's lived in a free state, he should be free. And then they said, and then the Supreme Court ruled that black people don't have the right to citizenship. Like, it wasn't that, we're not going to, like, as a black person, you don't have the right to citizenship in America. And there's so much. Because if you're not a citizen, you're not protected by the laws of the land.
We know.
What do you mean? Ovo, cut it.
Iron nose, apparently.
But remember, back then there were no international laws. Right? Now there's international laws.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a citizen of this country, you still have basic human rights.
Yeah. But then there was nothing like that at all. Basically.
Then who was going to tell them?
But even with other cases, this rulings from the Supreme Court was very effective in subjugating black people, because in subsequent cases, and I don't want to misquote the right case, but I think it's in my head anyway. But like, he had said that like the reason why Jim Crow flourished in America, how it started, was that while they had abolished slavery and they had finally made black people citizens, they had also it now became a thing where they said, okay, the government cannot sanction violence and say like, oh, yeah, not a citizen or not afford you your rights. However, the government does not play a role in individual disputes. So another individual can inflict violence on you or do something to you, and it's fine because the government didn't do it to you.
Yeah.
So it's like businesses can refuse service to black people, but it doesn't matter because the government wasn't the one who said don't give black people service.
So they just
So they said yes by saying we're not the ones doing it, so there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're the ones doing it. Like, that means that like we're not afforded human rights, and that was where the separate but equal came from. They're like, businesses are allowed to create separate but equal accommodations for people of different colors. Which where it came to the white-only theaters, the black-only theaters, the white-only places and black-only spaces, they basically developed Jim Crow by saying, we've done the best that we can do. What else do you want us to do again? We've given people freedom. And when you watch these things, I get very heated because I realize that like my solution to things is very radical.
Oh yeah.
I just lock up. I'm just like, nobody should ask for my advice. Don't ask for my advice.
You should not say it.
Yeah, so things you don't
And I've already said some crazy things today, but
like,
don't ask for my advice.
because like you go back to then, we're jumping through timelines here because we've talked about slavery, then 3/5, then Jim Crow. This is all, it's not in one time. This is over the span of history. So like, this is something that is embedded in America. Then you can talk about slave patrols, which is people who just took it upon themselves to hunt down slaves.
People don't get
and give themselves badges.
People don't get how
police.
crazy. Like, there's a story I read about some guy who he was a slave in the South. At the time, slavery was abolished in the North. And this guy, okay, for all people listening, I've not gone out of my way to verify this story. Verify it yourself.
Yeah.
But anyway, the story that I read is that this guy actually mailed himself from the South to the North.
Wow.
He mailed himself to freedom, basically.
That's amazing.
I mean, considering Harriet Tubman and the railroad system and all that, I mean, I won't say that it's too crazy to believe.
Yeah, it's actually not.
I would say it's too crazy to believe. Like, reading stories about how she would carry slaves to the railroad, how sometimes she would go to plantations, and some people literally would not want to leave.
Yeah.
Like,
They're comfortable.
Yeah.
That's
That's Stockholm syndrome.
They literally don't want to leave.
It's a whole thing.
Here's the question then, right? Because we can talk about the history all day long. We all know the history, right? And it's very sad. It's angering. It can radicalize individuals. Yeah. I'm in the same boat you're in. I get very upset with like these stories because it's stupidity. And on top of that, I've studied a lot of African history, and it makes me even more angry. Right?
African representative.
So I always try to think about, but what can we do in terms of where we are now and where we want to be? What do we do then? what do we do to get there, right? I think that's what Black history should be about now.
I think
because we know about slavery, we know about the Underground Railroad, and there's some things we don't know. Like I think when I was taking my one of my history classes, I had a professor. She was really into like the civil rights movement, talking about how the civil rights movement started because of women, because of Black women, and how that led the civil rights movement and all that. Those details you never hear about, right? And that made me realize, well, how is this this group of people, right, our people, as I call them, how are we going to get from being held down by our history to actually flourishing as we are meant to be?
You know, that's a good point because, funny enough, well, I won't say funny enough before I get in trouble, but women are actually often involved in the beginning of movements.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
usually when there's like an oppressor and you're the oppressed, men tend to be more like, okay, this is our situation.
Accept it.
This is how we have to deal
men
with
are
it.
supposed to be tough and deal with the situation.
Yeah.
Men are breaking
So
down.
if we don't speak up because we view it as a weakness, we would rather, handle our issues with more physical measures.
Exactly.
And women are the ones that are like,
They
so
get
you just
sense.
enjoy suffering.
Yeah. Men tend to rationalize it, whereas women are just like,
You have to be
I don't
careful.
care what the
This
consequences.
is some ridiculous shit.
We're not doing it. I don't care.
Like, fuck
We're not
that.
doing it. So that's usually what sparks things like that. And as for what you're saying, like coming up with like solutions, there are two routes to
It's
that.
not even two routes. I think
Two
it's
routes
two
to
parts.
that. Yeah.
Of one route.
Because sometimes you have to like, I feel like one route is the financial routes, financial political route. Another route is more radical.
There's only
Like,
one route there.
I agree with
Sometimes,
you. I
like
think
you
we
said,
need
sometimes
both.
I need to temper myself.
I think we need
sometimes.
both.
Because I think we need both actually. Because I was watching Black Panther and sometimes I was like, this guy is making sense.
We've talked about it before.
This guy making some sense.
There's a movie on Amazon Prime. It's called The Night in Miami.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Watch it. You get to see both sides of kind of like this equation, right? And the craziest thing is, my dad is straight African. I mean, at some point, I think he was also racist towards Black people.
Yeah, that's
You know
another
how African
conversation.
parents are.
Yeah.
Be racist towards Black
And I was
people.
sitting there watching
Who knows?
this,
But I'm trying my
watching
hardest.
this. I was sitting there watching this film, right? And it was Malcolm X, what's his name? Muhammad Ali,
Oh, I know this movie.
Yeah, Sam was Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Sam
Sam
Cooke,
Cooke,
and Jim Brown.
and Jim Brown, right?
Oh, I know this
And
movie.
at some point, this is when Sam Cooke actually wrote the song "Born by the River," what's it called, "Change Will Come." And if most of y'all don't know this, but I love to sing. So I was just sitting there, right, watching the movie, and it got to that point. I knew exactly what song I was about to sing, and I sang the whole song, and I felt it, right. And my old man was sitting in the kitchen, and he was looking at me like I was crazy. I was like, dude, this is what he was talking about. Change will come. You're sitting here in my kitchen, right, without having to worry about somebody coming to grab your ass by the ankles because of these guys. And so I think it's that education point. It doesn't necessarily have to be financial.
Yeah.
It has to be educating people who don't feel it or don't understand the situation that, hey, this is what we've been talking about. This is what MLK died for. This is what Malcolm X was assassinated for. Like, this is what it is. And we actually have to look at it and change will come. We actually have to make the change. And we have to do these things step by step instead of always thinking, okay, they're going to throw all these names at us. Oh, Harriet Tubman did this. Oh, this inventor did this. Great.
But like,
What else? What's next?
so I think it's like the reason why I said it's two parts of a coin,
Yeah.
because regardless of how you like become educated and you become financially independent and all of those good things, right? Those things are important, absolutely important. And when you get those, you use that to also uplift Black community and support people who want, so that we can fill these spaces. However, power is a different kettle of fish, right? Like, where power resides is where power resides. You can make money and be.
The power resides.
You can make money and it will mean nothing because you have no power. Like, because money is a tool, and money will serve where power is. Money will serve at the behest of power, right? So the thing with power is people who have power are very unwilling and unlikely to give it up.
It has to be taken.
So there has to be. So it's two sides of this thing. Like, why we can do all these things that we say, because racism is systemic, in America especially, right? These people are either going to say, okay, we need to stop this systemic racism. I don't have a problem so much. It's a bad thing, and I have a problem with it, but like it's not my biggest worry about the one guy down the road that is racist to me, that says a racist comment to me. My biggest problem is the bank treating me differently because of the color of my skin. My biggest problem is the doctors treating me differently because of the color of my skin. My biggest problem is society, my ability to take advantage of society being considerably limited simply because my skin is black, regardless of the amount of education that I've acquired, regardless of the amount of money that I might have, regardless of all of these things. When you adjust for singular socioeconomic issues, I'm still at a disadvantage simply because I am black, right? So how do we shift the boundary of power? Which is why we can't have this conversation without white people, because that is where power lies. Now the conversation is, are they willing to relinquish power to say, we need to make this system equal and fair for everybody? Because the people who tend to be in support of the black movement tend to not be people in power.
Yeah.
And even when they do, when they get into power, all of a sudden they dance to a different tune. Because
they start tap dancing up there.
it's difficult to want to give up power when you have it.
I think the biggest obstacle to that for black people is the two biggest. One is we tend to isolate ourselves into like, I'm African, you're African American, you're from Brazil. We tend to isolate ourselves too much. And also we're not respected. And I feel like that's a bigger problem than racism in itself. Although they're kind of intertwined.
Yeah.
I don't like, okay, let me use Jewish people or Chinese people.
Yes.
Like people were racist towards
I love Jews.
people were racist towards Jews, racist towards the Chinese.
They're like the
and
heroes of the world.
they were it's almost like we're gonna do our thing regardless, and we're gonna build what we're gonna build, and you respect us because we built it, and you have to work with us. It doesn't matter if you hate Jews. It doesn't matter if you're anti-Semitic.
There's a difference there.
Yeah, there's
a difference. I'm not saying it's the
Right?
same. I'm not saying it's
The
the same.
Chinese and the Jews are able to do that because they've been subjugated to being property for 400 years.
I'm not saying it's the same.
It's not even. Here's where the major difference is. First of all, a lot of the rhetoric that helps Chinese and Jewish people prosper, a lot of the rhetoric there is built out of the same racism that we talk about, because there is detailed facts that white people started setting ideologies to pick the kind of immigrants that they wanted. When they were saying, okay, we'll allow people into America, it's not that we don't want immigrants, we want the right immigrants.
Yeah.
Then they started narratives about specific immigrants to say these are the right
These
immigrants.
ones are smart.
Right? So
These
even
ones are
that
nice.
is still layered racism, because
It is.
these things were propagated to kind of say, we want these people, but you guys are not these people. These people there's a stereotype about these people of them being good at math.
Yeah.
The stereotype about you is that you're violent.
Yeah.
Why would we want you? And that travels through history, through people, through generations, and then it becomes, with every generation that it passes down, it becomes more and more true.
Definitely.
Because they believe it more and more. So even in that space, they looked at us and didn't say, it wasn't about us being educated. It wasn't
They
about
stole
us being...
from our homes.
It was about the fact that like they looked at us and said,
These people can
you
build.
are animals.
They can lift stuff, heavy stuff.
It was we were beasts of burden.
Yeah, literally.
And that's the difference. And that's
Yeah.
why I love Jewish people. I love Asian people. I
I don't love any of them.
I don't
have any particular feelings towards them.
You know.
for the sake of the podcast, I love everybody.
You know what? I'm not even saying like.
I love Jews only.
I'm not even
particular
saying
feelings
like
towards them.
it's the same situation. What I'm saying is that's more of what we need to head towards. I think a lot of black people are concerned more with,
They need to pay
oh,
reparations.
why is that guy calling me the N-word? Why is that? Why, while that shouldn't be happening, I think we should be concerned more with having power that people have to respect.
Yes, they need to pay reparations.
And like you said,
I'm with you.
Bro,
I would say I love Jews, but I respect Jews.
Imagine you're playing a game of
No
Monopoly.
matter what happens,
Right?
they're gonna-
For 400 years of that Monopoly game,
Someone's
everything
like,
I built earned everything.
Well, you burn it or
Went to
steal
you.
it.
Yeah.
It went to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 400 years later, you're telling me, oh, you know,
Pick yourself up from your bootstrap.
Bro,
some people don't have boots.
Yeah. And
You
historically,
don't have feet.
That's true.
historically
You don't have feet.
every time black people have tried to build their own economies,
has been destroyed.
Yes, and guess what? Trauma is also passed down.
And we keep talking about these
but-
things like they're hundreds of years ago.
This is
They're
65 years ago.
60, 50, 40, they're 40-year-olds
But
who
they're happening
who experienced
happening right now.
My old man
America
was 2 years old
beat up.
when this shit was happening.
And when I'm saying black people, I'm not just talking in America. I'm talking Africa.
Oh,
when I say
everywhere.
Chinese,
Bro.
I'm talking about China itself too,
Yeah.
not just the Chinese people in America.
Bro,
So it's still
I
happening
think,
today.
I think the only way black people in America and around the world get better is if Africa gets better.
Exactly.
Hear me out.
Exactly.
Bro, currently Africa holds the top 4 positions of the longest serving presidents in the world.
It's rubbish.
Who can name the very first Ghanaian
The
president?
price is no more actually.
Yeah.
Huh?
Did Mugabe then?
Well, Mugabe is dead
Who's the
now.
first?
Okay, he's dead.
Longest-
Museveni.
No,
Isn't it him?
Paul Biya of Cameroon.
Oh, yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said.
Biya,
Yeah.
46 years. Bro, he's been leading a country for 46 years, and that country is not a powerhouse.
You see, that's I think
Africa has to lead its people.
Africa has to. I think a lot of our problems that we have now, are
The ones we had 20 years ago.
is
More than 20.
No, I'm saying even for black people all over the world, is Africa being the way Africa is? Because so one thing I learned from my men that I didn't realize before was that like before the Civil War, when the Civil War was starting, at like the inception of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln had said that the problem isn't white people wanting to own slaves. That's that the problem is he had come up on this union thing that Frederick Douglass had been very, very vocal about, and he had said the problem wasn't white people wanting to own. He said why he supports it. The problem isn't white people wanting to own slaves. The problem is the presence of black people in America. So he was like, if we could end the war without having to give black people freedom, we would. But these are two conflicting ideas. And then he proposed a solution where they would colonize part of South America and have black people go inhabit those places, right? So basically they were saying the easiest solution for us to avoid war is that we're going to take over this part of South America and then we'll move all the black people there. And then people can go and live on your own by yourself instead of trying to feel like you're equal to us.
They did something similar in Liberia.
Yeah. And I tried to think about like, what would life have been like if that had actually happened? Like if they had moved all the black people.
They would have came and tried to conquer it too. Trust me.
Yeah.
See, greed is a big guy. They left them. See, I won't even bring religion into this.
Oh, we've had a whole episode about religion and racism.
You have to.
These people are leaving their countries out in the middle of the freaking European Caucasus
Mountains, those
and
bastards.
they are traveling. God, nobody else wanted to do it.
I'm with you.
Bro, Africans would have boats. We had canoes. We were traveling to Australia with our canoes. We didn't go conquer them. We went, we saw a place, we settled. We didn't come and start grabbing.
Guess what? They said they discovered Victoria Falls. Were we not there? Are you mad?
Bro,
Did you meet it uninhabited?
Bro.
Something were you seeing? Are you
Bro.
crazy?
You just kill in someone's house and be like,
Bro.
Greed is the thing that.
there's a house. I've just seen this
My
house
guy,
before.
I don't love all people. I just don't have any feelings towards them. My main focus is my people.
I feel
How
you.
do I elevate them?
I feel you.
And so that's what I mean when I say like I imagine what that would have been like, because I think whatever that would have been like, if black people were actually able to make a good situation out of that place. Like I imagine if like the issue in Tulsa had happened, but in
The bombing, you mean?
in Tulsa like had happened, but like in a different space where it was just us that inhabited it, and then like white people were never able to come in and bomb that. Like imagine how we would have grown. But then I started to think, I was like,
That's right.
so why didn't we just do?
rationalizing it?
So why? But I'm just like, so why didn't we just do that in Africa?
There's some examples.
Like why don't African
Because
countries just
here,
like
let me give you a backstory
bolster
into-
themselves up?
into that, right? Here, let me give a backstory to that.
You
And
mean
I'm gonna use
before they came originally.
So I'm saying like if they had moved us into this random place and then they had said, you guys take your country, and then we're not involved.
You
And
can't
then we
move
had
somebody
developed
back
it.
But they
into-
won't do that. That's
They won't-
Yeah.
they won't just
a
give
good
us
example of that is
Yes, I know.
Haiti
I'm doing best. I'm doing
Haiti is the
best
perfect
case
example
scenario.
of that. So the Haitians beat the French. They get their independence, but then what happened? They make sure they
No trade.
they strangle
Yeah.
the place until
They won't trade with
And
you.
that's what
They will
they've been
starve
doing
you.
the
Yeah.
whole
Exactly. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at. That,
What
like
we-
even
what
in
we-
places like even in African countries where we're diplomatic bodies, we're independent diplomatic bodies, so to speak, right? And we're countries, so to speak, because if you know,
it's
you
a
know.
land-
so to speak is important.
If
Yeah,
you know,
so
you
to
know,
speak,
right?
very
It's
important.
like even in this places where it's like we're supposed to be able to come and go as we please, we're supposed to be able to develop the country how we want. You still realize that it's not the case because there's still a stranglehold over African countries, right? There's so much rumors. There's so many rumors of Western involvement in African politics.
It's not rumors, guy. Wait. That's not rumors.
I'm trying to be politically correct.
No. There's no political correctness there.
It's not being political.
It's about like their rationale. There's no rumor, guy. They have
unless I have concrete evidence.
I have concrete evidence.
I don't think that this is something
The
that
CIA was in the Biafran War.
I don't think it's something that Western world even denies. I don't think that
they don't even deny it.
They've released documents.
I don't even deny it.
From the Congo. They have, bro, the current president of the Congo has been serving 41 years now, right? The whole time I've been alive, there's never been a different president in my country, right? He killed the coup d'etat from the previous president because he wanted to start getting out of the French-Frank nonsense alliance they were doing because the French have been screwing us.
Oh, yeah, till today.
Raw. No protection. No nonsense. They're just screwing the country.
The fact
To
that
this day.
France is still taking tax from francophone countries.
And how can you rationalize?
Using their language.
I feel like
It's sovereign
that's not
country
even the worst part.
that does not print its own
The worst part is they have to use their currency
Crazy.
and they have to keep their reserves in
A
France.
sovereign country cannot print its own money and cannot keep its own reserves.
France is actually bastardic.
Bro,
Macron.
that's why people tell me, God, I don't have like French people. They're fine. The population is fine, but the existence of the French country just makes my skin crawl. Like I
see your point.
hate the whole. They should not. God, they have nothing.
They
France
really
as
don't.
a country has nothing.
On their own, yeah. They
What
don't.
resources do they have?
Beautiful.
Tourism and
Yeah,
Paris.
they really don't have any natural.
What? God, who do you think taught them how to make wine?
Wait, what?
Who do you think taught them how to make wine?
Probably black people.
When they were in the Dark Ages, the whole of Europe was in Dark Ages. Who got them out?
I have no idea.
The Africans that traveled north taught them how to wash their hands and not live with rats.
Yeah, you didn't know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Bro, they were so dirty. That's why they began
Spices that they're not giving France. Oh, France is like a world-renowned cuisine. They learned spices from India.
Yeah, why do
Cologne.
have anything for
You guys
themselves?
give France cologne perfume. God, they used to stink until they found
They used to
perfume.
shit in the streets.
Bro. So all this now, France is what it is now. It's money and people and resources from the down
Including
south.
their World
Let me
Cup.
tell you
Who do you think
something.
gave them their World Cup?
All black people. Pogba, Mbappe,
Africa won the World Cup.
Kante, Bokwe, all of them black.
This guy, that French team, is
None of them are
Griezmann
French.
and Africa.
Yeah, it was just Griezmann. The only white
It's
people.
not even French.
Griezmann.
Nigerian or
Yeah,
some shit.
bro. Then another thing. Do you know that part of the genocide of the Native Americans was not even like on purpose? It's because these white people were so fucking dirty that when they came, they just naturally killed everybody.
Yeah, they're sick. Smallpox and shit. God, we didn't have smallpox.
Millions
Smallpox
already
would not
died.
survive in tropical
Before they even
countries.
started killing them, people were already dying of sickness because they were so dirty.
So,
Dirty.
dirty. I'm gonna ask a question.
You forgot?
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's about being dirty.
Shall I lost his train of thought? This will come in the end of the episode.
It's about them not knowing spices and
No,
perfume.
There's something about Congo. But continue.
The greatest nation on earth.
Yeah. Congo is so rich.
Bro, they're so rich. But it's the poorest. That's actually the poorest country in the world right now.
It's crazy.
It's
We talked about. Remember when we talked about Belgium?
I saw a thing where they were like African countries provide 90-something% of all the raw materials used in the world
Yes.
like for international trade. However, we make 0.05% of all the profits generated from that raw
Yep.
material.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So it's
Simple as that. And it's easy economics. Like
There's nothing politically incorrect about saying European nations
Yeah.
are
like
gambling.
I was taking my economics class, and they're talking about how trade, is great, it helps everybody, right?
Yes.
It's some bullshit in universities, they go nonsense, right?
School is propaganda, first of all.
So then I asked her, I'm like, you say trade is perfect for everybody, yeah. I'm like, so then you, in your rationale, you think what's happening with the what's called the world south, right? The African countries, basically, that's what the world south is. Do you think that's fair? You're like, yeah, well, she's trying to rationalize it. She's like, well, yeah, because there needs to be raw material. I'm like, okay. Why don't you become the raw material?
Yeah. Go on. There's children working in cobalt mines right now, literally right now,
Right.
for our iPhones. That's some fuck shit.
I mean, I'm still going FaceTime, but
Yeah, right. But pay them. Like, don't first of all, children should be working, but like,
get adults and pay them money, and then give me that FaceTime. Gosh.
So that's what I always like. I think about that I'm like, you know what? One day there's a revolution coming, and
The issue is, I
The
don't
que-
know
the question
how
is,
this
do
will
you
work without
think?
war.
Do you think this revolution?
That's what I've always.
And that's the problem.
That's the problem.
In history,
I've always
in
been
the
more of a
history
Malcolm
of
X
the
guy.
world that I can, in the history of the world that I can remember, that I researched, that I've seen, there hasn't been
Any change,
any
proper
significant
Like, here
change
you-
that has
here
come
you
without
go.
bloodshed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, it's the art of war.
Yeah.
Like, bro, my enemies. My mom has been scared already because I've been preaching.
You've been
this for
talking
the past-
about
Bro, she started praying for me and all this. You know how African moms
Yeah.
are. I told her, I'm like, I'm willing to lay down my life for my people, and by any means necessary. And it's not me like, oh, I'm gonna go kill people in terms of like, no. When I go back home, right, it's gonna be we're gonna stand up and take our freedom. That's it. Like, there's no way a country should be under dictatorship for 41 years
Allegedly.
and not have electricity running when we have the second fastest river in the world right next to us, the Congolese River.
Do you know what I mean?
Hydro plants, easily
These
built.
problems
That's
are
another good point.
these problems
Africans are
are
not new.
which are what's
African
going on?
nations were built to fail. That's our biggest problem. They were never built to
What's
succeed.
going on?
Like,
They are really
this
just
is
having
what
their
you
own
just said.
TikTok
Why
content,
should
right?
that be a case? Anybody with common,
First of all-
common sense should be able to put that together.
And
It's
all
almost
these
like
world banks.
they're
Colors
built
are already
not-
mentioned.
they're built
First
not
of all,
to-
a lot of
not
our
that-
countries were built. That's the,
Yeah.
if let's even start there. They were built. White people first of all drew lines and called it, "This is my territory now," and they just put a bunch of people together. Nigeria is so disjointed. That's one of
I
our
don't
issues.
think it was random.
It wasn't.
I think they
Divide and conquer.
intentionally,
Yeah.
they just put those people together,
So that they will
knowing
never
full well
agree.
that they're not going to work well together.
No, I don't even think it's so much so about them not working together. It's first of all, it's about greed. Second of all, it's the way colonization works, right? It is trying to rule a people. When you walk into a place and you tell them, "I'm the owner now," do you expect people to just say, "Okay"? So all of these things were done to convince people that they were property, that their land was property, that things that their cultural practices and everything were subject to the goodwill of these new masters and these new owners. So a lot of the countries that were put together and the lines that were drawn, first of all, it was white people needing to establish their country by owning other territories, right? And then people were put together because they realized that while we could handle these people, we can't really handle these people. So we put them together and make one country, and then based on the fact that we can control this group of people, we will use them in places of power to... Can you behave yourself? We use them in places of power to control everybody else. One that's supposed to be walking. Them in places of power to control everybody else, right? So all of these things were... They didn't put us together not to work. The intention to work wasn't there in the beginning. The intention wasn't whether to work or not to work. The intention was...
How can maximum
We need
exploitation.
the intention was buying property. You know, sometimes like you buy something that you eventually realize you don't need, and then you either like leave it there in your
Yeah, but
closet,
they
or
need it also.
you give it somebody, or do you understand? Or it's like they created this country for the intentions that they had at the time to own these people, to be able to subjugate them. They didn't put any thought into whether it will work out as a country, it won't work out, it would be a good idea.
But that's innate, right? When you put a bunch of people that don't get along together, they're so
Yeah.
worried about not getting along that they won't worry about what you're doing to them.
I tend to go a step further. I've always believed that they really thought it out. I believe that they looked at what's
Honestly,
happening.
I
in
think
history.
they're very evil.
They look, exactly. They looked
I think
at,
they're evil,
looked
but I
at
don't
their
think-
own history.
I don't think they're as intelligent as we give.
I think they did. Even looking at English history, how many hundreds of years it took them to finally come together as one country to become. I think they looked at their own history and they decided that's the best way to keep these people subjugated. Because I don't understand why are there Fulani people all the way from fucking Chad to Sierra Leone on the other on fucking Atlantic.
But then you
Coast.
now
Yeah,
draw the
Fulani
lines
people.
like
And instead of putting them together, you go like this, go like this.
So
There are
that
Yoruba people here, there are Yoruba people in Benin, but you separate them. There are Igbo people here, Igbo people in Cameroon, you separate. It doesn't
Because
make, to
one
me,
thing
I
to
understand
realize
where
is
the resources
the reason
are,
why I
but
say
think it's a
the reason why I
little
say
more than that.
the reason why I say that we give them too much credit for these things is because
You have to give them credit. They're actually making a lot to give them that credit.
So
no, the reason why I'm not saying these are not things that they did. I'm saying that I don't think they're intelligent enough to. I don't think because here's what I mean.
they're intelligent and evil.
Guys,
A lot of these countries that we're talking about
this kind of
were
thing
colonized by
are
different.
different.
A lot of these countries were colonized by. A lot of these places were colonized by different countries.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the British came and then they got together and they said, "You take."
But it wasn't random. They actually had a conference.
Yeah, they had a
Yes,
conference.
they had a
decide
conference.
these
It's
things.
got
It wasn't like it was
Portugal,
random.
France,
Yeah.
England,
Belgium.
Spain. They all had a
But this was
conference.
more a conference of
Which
You have to
continent are
split
we
this
destroying?
cake.
Have
All
you
the
ever,
class
have you
have
ever
everything.
played the board game Risk?
Yeah.
You ever played-
Yeah.
That's what this reminds me of.
That's what they did.
That's what it reminds me. That's exactly what it is. When I
then
see
you
what
do
they did,
yoga
it makes me think like
podcast.
that's what I would have done. That's exactly what I would have done. This was my goal. This is exactly what I would have
That's
done.
precisely what they did. They were like, you take this, you take that, and
Yeah. But I think what Vo is saying is they were not even being intelligent enough to be like, oh, we're going to.
It was
destroy
prudence.
them.
God, they
They were just
entered-
they just scattered everything, and this is what came out of it.
I don't think you're not
they
giving
think
them
about
enough
coincidence.
credit.
Coincidence is not that coincidental.
I've had. Look, I've looked at this thing from so many ways that I realized that like we as black people, our forefathers, our ancestors, and whatever,
They were stupid.
they stress me because some of the
I would go as far as to
tactics.
say that.
Because I'm not saying they were stupid. I'm saying they stress me because I listen to the tactics that these people used
So rudimentary.
to take over our. Because they didn't come and say Guardiolas can carry gun. They didn't have that much power. Literally, a lot of it was them convincing these people that we own you. Like that's what it was.
No.
It wasn't that at first.
Yes, they had guns. They had
Yeah.
guns, but not enough. Look, I'm looking at a lot of stuff that happened. Stuff like the whole situation in the Congo. They literally sent somebody who was a magician to go and pretend like he had superpowers to lie to these people that he was stronger than them, and that's how all white men are.
That's what I'm saying. You need to give them more credit because when
fucking
when they
correct.
came to Africa, they came to Africa with a lot of the experience that they gained in the Americas already from dealing with native populations. There.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had already learned a lot of these tactics. Like okay, we never have to fight them. We can get this group to fight that group. Get this group to fight. Like we don't even have to directly fight them. That's what they did for a long time. They came with trade,
And that's strategy.
and they learned a lot from like. They learned a lot from their history. Even
Their
like,
own history.
even like looking at the Romans, there's something that the Romans used to do. Like if they came into an area
Yes.
and you guys are too troublesome, you know what? We'll just take your people and scatter them across the empire. Okay,
Yeah.
now what are you gonna do?
Because
It's the same. It's kind of the same
Back and forth
thing.
this
Okay,
time.
we'll separate you. We'll cut you up here. So now how you guys?
the
gonna
thing is
unite
this,
and
right?
fight?
So it's not that it's not one or the other. I'm
Yeah.
saying that there's a middle ground. I'm not saying that there was no
Okay.
intention at all to create any kind of there was no strategy into what they did.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
also saying that I don't think
Some of
they
it
all
was a
did.
product.
Some of it was a product of the situation, but all of it wasn't careful planning. Like all of it, like, a lot of it was careful planning.
Yeah.
But
That's the thing about coincidence.
these people are
Coincidence is
not
always
that
careful.
intelligent. I'm not saying people are not, but people are not that intelligent. Like you deal with some folks and you're just like,
But is this
Man.
thing?
But you know, it's not everybody that was in charge of making these decisions. But the
Yeah,
people
yeah.
at the top are used to making.
Is this thing inherent?
Try.
My question.
I'm not talking because
Because Africans and people around the world, they had intelligence, right? But they channeled their intelligence into culture, into art. These people just made it.
they were even industrious.
That's not necessarily true.
Yeah, that's not
That's not necessarily
Africa.
true.
See,
The Europeans
colonization-
they didn't even develop.
colonization was always a thing, right? Even in African countries, we colonized each other.
that's true.
No. There's a difference between colonization, and territory enlargement, right? When you're colonizing, it's different than
But
when
colonization started as a result of territory enlargement.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Kind of.
Colonization, when you say enlargement of territory, is not like, for example, when the Bantu kingdom, the Congo kingdom, was going to war against the Ashanti or the Benin kingdom, right?
Mhm.
That was not colonization. It was war.
It was war.
When you lost the war, you lost
took over,
territory,
yeah.
right? Colonization or imperialism was them leaving their countries, going to another area of the world, and then claiming that territory as theirs,
Yes.
even though there was people there without war. It didn't fight a war with
Yeah,
us.
but so what I'm saying is territory enlargement. It's not, they're not mutually exclusive. Yes, there was war in territory enlargement, but territory enlargement wasn't always about war. This was about people saying. This was about a kingdom saying we have to be bigger than the next kingdom,
Uh-huh.
right? We have to exert our dominance. So imagine if, let me use an example: the French kingdom and the British kingdom, right? The French kingdom is a world power. The British kingdom is a world power in their own right. For them to have the upper hand against this.
Why don't they just invade each other? Like they
No.
This is where the religion comes in.
Yeah.
For them
That's
to
the answer to your question.
Yeah.
for one person to
The
have the
answer to
upper
your question.
hand over the other, they have to enlarge their
The
territory.
reason why
As a result, they're colonizing
That's
spaces.
what
So
I'm
as I'm saying, colonization came as a result of territory
Yeah,
enlargement.
but for us, when we wanted to enlarge our territory, for example, like I said, we will invade you that we're having problems with,
Yes, no.
and we'll take your territory. Them too, they used to fight each other, the 100-year war and whatever.
Yeah.
But then religion came into
The
play.
religion came in.
We must now, what is it called?
Crusades.
Spread the gospel in their nonsense. And they came, and then they used religion as a way to
You like our episode on this religion and racism.
We have an episode on religion and racism. You should listen to it. You will really like it because it was really about the Congo.
Yeah, it was about the Congo.
So territorial enlargement, yes, it's cool. But if they had come and fought war with us, I would understand. Right? If they came to invade us, I would understand.
I don't think they would have.
But they wouldn't have won. Precisely.
That's why.
That's exactly the point.
They wouldn't have won.
They
so
knew.
if it was a
That's
war,
what I'm saying. Like
I would understand.
they've tried all these things in the Americas before, and they learned a lot of lessons. So they're like, okay, this time around, we're going to take those lessons that we learned. We're going to do this. Okay, we're not going to just come and invade. We'll give you a mirror. Take the mirror, play with it, give us a couple things.
Yeah.
We'll come back. Okay, take this. Give us a couple
This
things.
man in the Congo was literally
what they
having them shoot blanks at him. Right? They shot blanks at him and he would get up. And so these people thought white men were bulletproof.
I mean, there's history of white men being seen as gods. That's why Jesus they give
It's
us
like-
white. That's why all these things.
The
are
crazy
white.
thing is, like, if you do a little bit of research, history will annoy you.
Bro.
History will fucking annoy you. You'll be reading this like, what?
There's a lot of African history that we don't know. Like,
Oh my god.
there's this. I can't remember what's his name. Sheikh Anta Diop, I think his name. He wrote a book about how prior to Europeans coming, like the African continent as a whole had just had like a long period of civil wars here and there. Here these people come, and all of a sudden they are finding all these kingdoms that are already like. It's the same thing they met in the Americas. Like the Aztecs had their own enemies, so instead of fighting the Aztecs, they're like, okay, we'll come to you guys. How about we help you guys
Fight,
defeat
What do you think they did in Biafra
Oh,
war?
this guy. It's the same thing. It's the same tactics that
Same tactics.
They
CIA
did
was
the
involved.
same tactics
Yeah, and then the
as
French
Biafra.
people
the
were
French and the Portuguese were helping
Biafra, and then the CIA was helping
helping
Nigeria.
It's the same tactics that they've been fighting. Instead of just, hey, we're going to invade you.
They're still doing
Like even
things.
when the British Empire conquered the Benin Kingdom, I don't know if you're familiar with that. Most of the soldiers involved in that battle were actually Africans.
African. So yeah, we're dying
They
for
used
their
Africans to conquer the Benin Kingdom. Like it's crazy, and it's a tactic that they've always used. It's not as if they were like that superior to. They weren't when they showed up.
It's just.
But they
They're
just
still doing it these days.
they just had experience doing what they were doing.
Yeah, don't worry.
I think
We'll pay
the
one
thing
day.
is-
See, karma's a bitch.
I think like what you were saying, Jefferson. Like it's greed. Greed is not
Greed.
sophisticated.
It's greed.
Yes.
Greed will have sophisticated
consequences. Yeah.
Yes.
So-
Karma's a bitch. That's why I like Indian sayings. Karma's a bitch.
Is
Bro,
that a direct quote?
you know, you sow what you reap what you sow, right? This is what I always find hilarious, bro, with the whole
But this
guys.
karma
My mom is
is taking
basically
a sweet time, man.
No, but these days, Kama has signed deal with Amazon. Same day
Bro,
delivery.
this karma is taking a sweet
Get that
time,
shit
bro.
right, TV.
Bro, but the only reason it's taking sweet time is because we have forgot about it. That's why. But it's going to happen. Bro, like more recently with the what's it called, the COVID vaccine that they're selling at Uganda for like $17 compared to France and Europe, the EU at $2.56. How the hell is that possible?
That's a whole other kind of worms.
Bro, so like, don't worry. See, these viruses that get you, don't worry, it's cool. See how it didn't hit Africa as hard. They will get more.
You don't understand it.
They will get more.
I feel like anyway. I'm going to start to round up because we're very radical in this place.
Yeah, all of us.
Yeah, I really.
For the FBI will bust in.
I wanted to start talking about tactics and solution because I believe in.
My thing.
You don't say it
I
on.
don't say it on wax, but
Yeah.
I believe in. There is no freedom without bloodshed, and I don't
This
believe.
is exactly why I want to stop the
I
podcast.
don't believe fully in
Discourse.
the ideal of equality. I believe that for you to stand equally, you must tear down those who are on top of you. I believe in black supremacy.
That's what I've been avoiding since.
I believe in black supremacy.
I
Listen,
will
they will
all
never. We have to subjugate them. Every opportunity I get, for me, this is my own. I use my sexism for good. I turn it to white women. I will make fun of, if a white woman, I'll tell them they're not attractive. This is how I use my sexism for good. Okay, because every time a black woman puts a magazine, it's
So
not
that's
beautiful enough. And if I'll do my own part. Okay, and so I believe that we must rally our powers as the masses. Okay, politicians will not save us. It will take time for us to do that one. What I know is that your money, for me, your money, that's the first thing, your money. Spend your money black. I heard a statistic. I don't know if this is true, but it said that the black dollar spends 6 hours.
I've heard that.
6 hours in black community before it leaves. 6 hours. The Hispanic dollar spends about 2 weeks in the Hispanic community before it leaves, and the Asian dollar spends over a month.
I was going to talk about a video where some guy he gave like a 30-minute lecture on that.
And 6 hours. And that means if you get paid at 5,
by the way, so we need to round it.
if you get paid at 5, you've blown all your disposable income by 11. The club has not even popped yet. The club is not even popping yet.
I knew that was what it was going to say.
Bro, can you imagine? Like, so for me, the radical, so you have to make sure to spend your dollar black. I also realized that the space I'm in, most of us here are very upwardly mobile economically.
Yeah.
Right? The average income in America is about $58,000. That's the average household income. And our trajectory eventually, we're going to be in the top 20 percentile, at least, of American income. Once we hit in our 30s and 40s, everybody in this room, spend your dollar. When you buy a house, look for a black realtor. Any major expense you want to make, look for it to be black, African. It's very, very important. Keep your money black. The biggest consumers of designer and luxury goods in America is black people. Gucci, Louis Vuitton. These are all white families. Why are we making them rich? Why are we making them
Because
rich?
we are stupid.
It is so. Consumerism is cancer.
I agree with you, but I feel like it shouldn't and almost can't be an individual effort. It's something that we have to come together.
No, but,
Yes,
but
that's
you
why
have to.
we
You have to start at the
So
individual level.
I'm saying
That's
that
what
there
I
is.
mean.
I don't know how to be like Black Panther level organization, which that's the radical part. I don't know how to do that stuff. Just everybody at home listening to me right now, okay?
This is why you don't have
So this is my own. Don't, if you can help it, don't marry white person.
I'm saying in my chest. You know, don't marry a white person.
If you can help it,
I'll say one thing.
if you fall in love,
I have a.
you know, she has a move button.
I'll say one thing, and I don't want you people to think that like we're
Crazy.
like we don't like we have some agenda against white people.
Would it be wrong?
I don't even think
Have you
that.
heard the story of the 3 little pigs and the wolf?
I don't want you to think that. Please, let me finish. I don't want you to think that we have any kind of agenda against white people, any kind of sentiment. I'm not sentiments of the podcast. They are like individual sentiments, and as you have heard, I have not said any individual thing. However, I have a problem. My experience with white women in America is problematic because I've experienced black women in America, and black women are so marginalized. I've experienced them. Black women, shut up. Black women, let me finish. We're wasting time. Later now, you bend down there and be twerking. See. Black women in America are so marginalized, and with all of these things against them, they still attain such an amazing level of success, right? Mm-hmm. And I think to myself, like, these are people who have so much stacked against them, from racism to sexism to all of these random barriers, right? And then there's white women, and they just call the cops. Like, that's all you do. Like, that's what you bring to society.
That's your modus operandi.
There's a thing that I realized about white women that this white saviorism is more prominent amongst white women than any other group of people.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that day?
Why tapping me?
Shut up. Remember that day? I'm angered. Remember that day we went to fucking Target?
Yeah.
I was trying to rush in and pick up something, and I saw this white woman. She had called the security guy. She was like, I don't think I'm sure they are fine, but I just wanted to let you know that the 2 little girls in that car by themselves. If you are sure they are fine, why are you calling the security man? Why? Why did you feel the need to interject yourself into that situation? We get it. You are really trying to do what you can to help the world. Stop. We don't want. It's enough. We're fine. Fix your life, fix your marriage, fix your makeup, fix your seasoning in your food. There's too much for you to fix, for you to worry about us.
I have a rant about interracial dating, but we're going to
We'll rant on the Abbey rant about America. We'll rant on the next episode.
But it just please, like, I see it like in America, white people have had the middle class in white America has had since when? The 30s, 40s to build wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Why should we mix with them when we're building our own wealth? Don't mix with them. Let's build our own wealth right now. Don't mix with them. Stop marrying outside your race.
Marriage is a very important institution for
building.
And
that's why they destroyed the black community.
Yes, we didn't talk about that. Oh my god.
Gen X.
Should we end this episode?
please. We can keep going.
We'll keep going.
So as a result of Black History Month is about, I guess, the
Celebration.
struggles that like Black people have like had to overcome to get to where we are, and just celebrating the Black history that has been suppressed for the longest in America, and also celebrating Black excellence. But what were those words? If all man isn't free, no man is free. So since we still have problems, we're not doing.
Just to interject some quick facts, since we were talking about Black History Month.
Yeah.
That I learned recently. Black History Month actually started as Black History Week. I never knew that until recently. I think it started. It was in like I think it was 1926 was when they first did a Black History Week. It was the second week of February, and they picked it because it was.
Because so it's the birthday of
Yeah, they said it was the birthday of Abraham Lincoln and
Frederick Douglass. I think
was it Frederick Douglass or
MLK, I think.
no MLK was
wasn't born yet.
what's his name? Marcus Garvey. I think it was
Marcus Garvey. Yeah,
Abraham
Marcus
Lincoln
Garvey.
and Marcus Garvey had their birthdays on that week, so they just. I mean, it's kind of weird that Lincoln. But anyways, free the slaves, whatever.
It does anyway. Like you people don't know. So I do recommend that like a lot of people watch Amend because I think it does a lot to share some light on, and it's done in this very.
Is that on
easy to
Netflix?
understand- It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's Amend: The Fight for America. It's hosted by Will Smith, and then there's a bunch of actors and comedians on it just telling the story. It's literally just storytelling.
Okay.
So it's not like it's a movie or whatever. And then they tell the story of the 14th Amendment, the history, how it I guess became a movement from Frederick Douglass all the way down to when it was actually put in place to the suppressions and everything. I think it sheds a lot of light. So I recommend going to watch that.
Netflix, are you hearing?
That's
Yes,
a plug.
Netflix.
Bring the Netflix back, please.
Pay up. Even though I think when we talk about like Black History Month, people and then all these companies want to do. I start watching all these Black History movies where they are whipping people 12 years a slave and the likes.
I hate those movies.
I'm stressed.
I never want to watch. In fact, I've never watched 12 Years a Slave till today.
I used to like.
I can't
those
blame them
movies.
because
Somebody
that is
said,
the reality
how
of
come whenever I
our
watch
history.
movies of
Black people is always suffering.
And I thought about it like,
Stop making
okay,
slaves.
We need
that's true.
slavery porn is
But
done.
you can't blame them because it is the reality of our history.
But yeah. I mean, that's our history of the last 400 years. There's plenty of more stuff.
Oh, sorry. We're ending.
There's plenty
Please,
more
our
stuff.
producer said we should end. Our
We've
producer
seen
director-
enough. We've seen the whipping. We've had enough trauma. That's enough. It's
He said we
enough for
should
now.
end.
Sorry.
But just to wrap up, Black History Month became a thing. I think it was 69 or 1970. That's when it became a thing and started spreading across the country. And Black History Month became a thing in the UK, Netherlands, Ireland. I think in
Sounds like Black
1986.
in 69.
Except they celebrate Black History Month in October. I think it's October.
So it's longer, so
that
maybe
was
we should
cool.
do that.
That was interesting. I learned just
So,
just
okay.
want to share a few facts to
Thank
wrap
you.
up.
That's dope.
And don't forget to tune in to the Aspiring Polymath.
Absolutely.
Check out some of our episodes.
So are we posting this on both
We'll put it-
platforms?
yeah,
I'm
okay.
thinking so.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
what-
just do
that's-
that.
that's good, that's good.
Yeah.
Post it on both.
And definitely check out Bantu Investments.
Yeah, Bantu
Also,
Investments. See, let me tell you
Discord
something.
channel is popping. You should tune in.
We come here with the hookups.
The range of this episode.
We're giving you
Look at the
hookup
range of
after
this
hookup
episode.
after hookup.
From where did
Come
we
on.
start?
This is because we didn't record last week, so we're giving the people more. We're giving them a little extra. Okay,
It's a
so
little extra now.
we have that. My producers have said we should cut. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're big
give
rich
you
now.
a
We're
range.
famous now.
We're producing.
So it's been real. Thank you guys for fucking with us. Again, listen to the Aspiring Polymath podcast. Check out Bantu Investments. We'll put like links in like description.
Have we established the code? Or we just
That was established.
We'll have there's gonna be a subscriber link. You click in and you can get the benefits of this, and we can get a little something on the side. Support your boys. Support black businesses.
your black dollar.
Here's where you invest the black dollar.
Without even spending dollars.
Dollar block.
Exactly. All right, man. It's been real. Thank you guys for fucking with us. Jeffrey has fallen asleep. So thanks once again. Peace out.